So, welcome friends to the session today. And I would like to start this session with the person whose birthday we are celebrating today, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. As you know, 23rd January, that was his birthday. And 1897, in Cuttack, he was born. And then he left this world on 18th August in 1945. As we know, he was an Indian nationalist. And he was the patriot whose information we don't know much, but yes, in our eyes, he's a big hero. And his attempts during World War II, he did all those attempts so that we can get rid of British rule in India. And he took help from Germany and Japan and all those other different places as well. So we celebrate today with his teachings as well. On the screen, you might see all those teachings here. Although the most famous is one, "Tum mujhe khoon do, main azadi dunga," right? And Jai Hind. But there are still other mores. Something like "freedom is not given, it is taken." Other one, "No real change in history has ever achieved by just discussions." Discussions are good, but we really need action on those things as well. Just the fluffy talk doesn't help at all. So, anyways, without further delay, I would like to hand over the session to ma'am, and I'm going to put that presentation on in front of you. You have seen her profile already. Um, Mrs. Jyotsna Rajpal is a CMA, Cost and Management Accountant, with 30 years of industry experience in multiple business domains. And this initiative is to impart the knowledge about accounting for the non-finance professional. So all over to you, ma'am. Here is the slide.
Thank you so much, Arvind. Friends, first of all, I'll congratulate you on Parakram Divas. We all know Parakram is like ultimate valor, you can say. So, learning by technocrats about the finance itself is a Parakram. So you all deserve a happy Parakram Day, a happy Parakram Divas. And I wish you're the spirit to continue in future. Let's come back to our topic. Yeah. Assets we have already discussed in our group. Like we broadly classify assets into two parts. And to start with, assets are nothing but the resources owned by a business which have future economic value that can be measured and expressed in monetary terms. So those are the assets, and we all know that we all have assets. We have multiple assets. Then we broadly classify it as a tangible assets and intangible assets. Tangible assets are those we can see, we can touch, we can feel. And intangible assets are such which are non-physical, that usually have a theoretical value generated by a firm's own valuation. But nowadays, it is not that much theoretical. Earlier, it used to be. Nowadays, whatever money we are spending in the like intangible assets for procuring intangible assets, and then we also see how much return we are getting from these intangible assets. So there is a proper method to evaluate the intangible assets also in our valuation processes. So this theoretical value is not a very correct term, but it comes as like this in when we define intangible assets. So next slide, please. So tangible assets are broadly classified into three parts. There is no legal bifurcation, or there is no legal document which says that you need to classify it in three ways. But usually, as a normal practice, as a trade practice, it is being classified into three parts. One is fixed assets. Second is investments, and third is current assets. What are fixed assets? Fixed assets are such that facilitate the business activity, means which help you to do the business, like land, building, plant and machinery, equipment, vehicle, electrical installations, office equipment, furniture and fixtures, computers, etc. The spirit of this is facilitate the business activity. Next comes investments. Investments, we should not consider it as our own investment in the business. When we say investments, it is always investments made outside the business. Usually people may have this question that why we are not calling that as investment, because that is our investment in the business. Correct. That is my investment in the business. When my personal balance sheet will be prepared, it will be shown as investment. But when I'm making the balance sheet of the business, it is not investment. It is the capital. It is the liability of the business, because Jyotsna has given money to A Limited. Maybe that I am the owner of the A Limited, but business and myself are two separate entities. So we should never confuse with the investments and capital. Capital is liability for the business, and investments which are being reflected in the balance sheet are always investments made outside the business. It may be in the form of FD, in the form of shares, in the form of bonds, debentures, mutual funds, government securities, wherever it may be. Yeah, the beauty of investments is that whenever we require, when we are having some crunch in our business, we can dilute these investments and bring in the form of cash or bank in our business. So these are basically, you can say, a security also inside the business. This is the our investment, like in our normal course of life also, we keep some investment, we keep some savings, we keep some savings apart from our routine expenses. So what for those are? Those are basically for the our tough times. So investments are also like that. So anytime we require, we can dilute them. And at the same time, they generate also some income for us, maybe in the form of dividend, maybe in the form of interest, maybe in the form of, maybe in some other form. But the idea is to generate some additional income. Then comes current assets. Current assets, the idea of current assets is that these are held for the purpose of business activity. Please understand a thin demarcation line between fixed assets and current assets, that fixed assets facilitate the business activity. They help you to do the business. But current assets are the assets which are held for the purpose of doing business, which not only help you to do the business, rather that is the business. Like the goods we are dealing in, that is called as inventory. Suppose I am a mobile dealer, so all mobiles kept in my shop are my inventory. Suppose I am a grocery dealer, so all grocery items which are in my shop or which are in my godowns, those are all called as inventory. In current assets, there is one interesting feature, that inventory, receivables, cash and bank balance, these are all interchangeable and these are held for each other. Like you just see the cycle that you have cash, from that cash you buy some inventory, then you sell that inventory. Suppose you are getting a payment after 2 days, so that for 2 days it will be in the receivables, because that is the money due to us on account of sale of our goods. So from cash it went to inventory, from inventory it went to receivables, from receivables it went again to the cash and bank balance when I realize that money. And again, from that cash and bank balance, I will create some more inventory. So this is how the complete business cycle goes on. These current assets are held usually for a period of maximum 1 year or business cycle, because certain like in sugar industry or in cyclical or seasonal industries, it may go beyond 1 year also, but it should be restricted to the one business cycle. So here we have to basically understand the spirit of the assets for which they are being held in the business. Like I asked you certain questions, like I gave you some exercise that how will you classify these particular assets. Like first was shares owned by business. Has anyone got idea by now that why it is held in current assets? Because these are owned by a share broker. And what is the main business of share broker? To deal in the shares. So what he does, he purchases shares in the market morning, then he sells them in the evening. He may purchase it today, he may sell it tomorrow. Or sometimes when he thinks that the rate of this particular share will go up, so he will hold it for 1 week or so. So he is not investing in any company, but he is simply trading in the shares. So that is current asset for the share broker. But if I am into the business of manufacturing of some product, shares held will not be inventory, but for a share broker, it is an inventory. So, which has guided the nature of asset? It is the spirit behind holding that inventory, holding that asset, decides the nature of the, or decides the classification of the asset. And next was, and this very principle, if you remember, you will never be you'll never be wrong in deciding the nature of the asset. Then comes stock of printers maintained by a power plant. Why we have held printers in a power plant? Why we keep printers? Just to maintain the efficiency of the working. Those are just held for the efficient working of the business. So they will be classified as fixed assets. If in case of, if these printers are held by a computer dealer, then it will be classified as inventory, because he is not holding those printers for the efficient working of his systems, his working, his business activity. He is basically holding them to sell. So it will be inventory for him. Similar principle will apply to the software also. Like when it is a software company and has made the software for in-house development, it will be classified as intangible asset. But if that software, if they are holding it to sell that, then definitely it will fall under the current assets. Then patents, it is clear, it is all intangible assets. Then land owned by a land developer. Now land, is the biggest investment in any business. Even land also is an inventory when it comes to a person who is dealing in the land. A land dealer, a land developer, a land broker. For him, land is merely an inventory. You must have heard also from those land dealers also that a lot of inventory is piled up. Like a movement is not there, so inventory is held, vagera, vagera. So this is how it is the spirit which derives the nature of the asset. It is not the asset, but it is the spirit because of which it is held in the business. I hope now it must be clear. If it is so, please say yes in your chat box. Then comes the liabilities. Liabilities is a financial obligation that a business must meet, and it signifies all types of account payables. Next slide, please. Yeah. Liabilities are like what we saw, that assets are classified based on the spirit for which they are held. Liabilities are basically decided, number one, from the source they are coming from, and number two, for the term they are being held, or the term during which they are to be paid back. As we have seen in the definition itself, that it signifies all types of account payables. So whatever is the liability of the business, I have to pay it back today, tomorrow, maybe at the last day of the business, but I have to pay back. Business has to pay back all the amounts which are due as liability to it. So only two guiding forces are there. That number one is the time for which they are being held in the business, and number two, for the purpose they are being taken, like capital. As I already told you, whatever amount a promoter and owner of the business is putting up in the business is known as capital. It is initial amount for business of any business or any expansion. Suppose if I have started a business 10 years ago and today again I want to increase my capacity, or if I want to add, go for a backward integration or forward integration of my a new project, then whatever expansion I will be doing to meet the expenses related to that expansion, whatever money I am putting as owner will be termed as capital. Whatever money I am borrowing from the bank or from other sources, that all will be coming under the long-term liabilities. But whatever money owners are putting up in the business will always be classified as capital. One more thing which comes as capital, that is reserves and surplus. My business is doing very well. Every year I am able to generate some amount which is spare, which is extra, which after meeting all my routine expenses, I have generated certain profit. And after paying all my liabilities, like my EMIs, my term loans, my whatever I have to pay back, after paying dividend I have to pay to my shareholders. So whatever money is left after paying all those obligations is termed as reserves and surplus. Means whatever reserves and surplus has been generated by the business will always be part of the capital. This is a very fine point. Maybe if you study 3-4 balance sheets, you will be able to understand this very point. Reserve and surplus will also always be a part of capital. Then comes long-term liabilities. Long-term liabilities, the first feature is, number one, these are outside liabilities. Like capital is the owner's liability. Long-term liabilities are the outside liabilities. These are long-term, as the name indicates. These last for 5 to 10 years. Then generally, these long-term liabilities are created to fund the fixed assets requirements. Like when we were discussing about nature of expenditures, like capital expenditures and revenue expenditure, I hope all of you must have remembered. Like last session, we were discussing about it. So I told that we have to meet capital expenses out of the capital proceeds, and revenue expenses have to be met out of revenue receipts. So similarly here, so long-term liabilities have to be generally funded through the generally created to fund the fixed assets requirement, and it has not to be used for the routine expenses. Suppose you have borrowed some money from the bank and bank observes that you have diverted that loan other than the purpose you have taken it for, you have diverted it to some other purpose, then bank takes a very strict note of it, and banks and institutions are very rigid about it nowadays. And long-term liabilities can be secured or can be unsecured. If you are taking from some institutions, it has to be mostly secured. What security? It is all like part of negotiation between the borrower and the lender. But mostly these are secured. But if you are buying from your own sources, like your friends, your family, your well-wishers, then it may be unsecured also. But mostly all institutional lending is secured lending. Then comes the current liabilities. Like current assets, similar to current assets, current liabilities also have to be settled in a normal operating cycle. What all comes under these? Like main is sundry creditors. Creditors may be for supplies as well as for the services. Like I have purchased a raw material on credit for 1 month, so he will remain there as creditor for in my balance sheet for a period of 1 month. So after 1 month, I have to pay him back. I have to pay him that money. Then suppose I have taken some consultancy services and my credit term is 45 days. So in 45 days, I have to pay him the money. So similarly, salaries, then rent, taxes, everything all comes under the current liabilities. Whatever we have studied as a revenue expenditure will always form as the like anything due towards those expenses will always form part of the current liabilities. Like bank overdraft or bank CC limit, cash credit limits are there. So all that will come under the current liabilities. Next slide, please.
Ma'am, if you can explain about sundry creditors.
Sundry creditors. Sundry creditors are nothing but like many creditors. In any business, you may find, say, 10 creditors, 50 creditors, 100 creditors, 1,000 creditors. So together they are called as sundry creditors. Creditor, you know, that a person to whom I have to pay back some money, maybe on any account, maybe on supply of services, maybe for supply of goods, maybe for supply of any other thing. it has to be, it will fall under the term sundry creditor. Like all our consultants or all our suppliers, even our landowner to whom we have to pay rent, electricity supplies. So that all routine expenses will come under the head sundry creditors. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Now come to the major part, balance sheet. Yes. Balance sheet, as we have already discussed, that it always have two parts. One is assets, another is liabilities. In other way, it is called as sources and applications. Sources of funds and applications of funds. So sources are nothing but liabilities and applications are nothing but the assets. So first of all, this is the usually accepted balance sheet format. I think across the globe it is being followed. As per Companies Act, it may be slightly different. As per partnership, for partnership firms, it may be slightly different. For non-profit organizations, it may also vary slightly. But more or less, heads are same. So I have just taken a company like kind of format here. So first of all, number one, and its sequence is also fixed. You cannot do like current liabilities you put on the top and you put shareholders funds at the bottom. No, we have to go in this sequence only. That first of all, it has to be shareholders funds. Second, it has to be loan funds. And third, it has to be current liabilities. So shareholder funds. And in like we saw in case of profit and loss account, usually we always give 2 years figures for all the financial accounts, just to make them comparative and to make the to facilitate the analysis. So here we can see that share capital is 200 lakhs, means 2 crore rupees of share capital. Then here I have mentioned in a very short, but usually it is mentioned very detailed that authorized capital is this much, subscribed capital is this much, paid up capital is this much, equity shares of this denomination, this many numbers, total amounting to this. But here I have just mentioned the essence of it, that is equity shares of rupees 20 each. Simply means that 2 crore is divided into 20 rupees each. Means we have how many shares? 10 lakh shares. Then we have reserves and surplus. Reserve and surplus, as I have already told you, it is nothing but the surplus of our accumulated surplus of our business. So that is there. So this together makes the shareholders fund. Then comes loan funds. Loan funds are secured loans and then unsecured loans. Then third is current liabilities. In current liabilities, we have trade creditors and we have provisions and other liabilities. Now, trade creditors we have already discussed. What is other provision and other liabilities? Like what happens? Nowadays, it is like real-time accounting. But earlier, what it used to be that even today that also happens in some cases, like salaries. We used to book salaries only on the 1st of next month. But nowadays we are doing it. So what we used to do, say I am preparing a balance sheet as of 31st March. So it's a salary which is due on 31st March will be accounted for only on 1st April. So what people used to do, that they used to provide for the provision, because that is services company has already taken, business has already taken the services of all its staff. So a provision has to be made, like electricity bill, water bill, rent. Maybe that all those expenses are getting due on the next day, like 31st March, it must be getting due on 1st of April. But the services have been received by the business. So we have to create a provision. Unless we create a provision, we will not be able to give the true and fair view of the business. So here we need to provide the provision that fine, these are the defined creditors. but I have to make this much of provision for other expenses or for other advances, other liabilities, whatever is there. Like tax provision is there. Tax provision will be calculated only when your profit and loss account is audited. So likewise, we have to be very careful about this provisions and other liabilities. Then total liabilities. Then move to the next slide, please. So here we have seen the assets. Assets we have already discussed a lot, like gross fixed assets, depreciation, net fixed assets, then current assets. Then investments are there, then current assets are there, and then intangible assets are there. The beauty of balance sheet is there that all assets are equal to all liabilities. I hope this is all clear. If you analyze the figures, then you will be like getting many things. We have to go to the analysis. Here I would like to take 1 minute that balance sheet, how it is connected to your life. Like we say that all assets are equal to all liabilities. In our life also, if you see like what all we are having is given by someone. Like here what we see that current assets are funded by current liabilities. Fixed assets are funded by the fixed capital or long-term liabilities. Similarly, in our life also, if you just evaluate your life, if you just create a balance sheet of your life, you will find that everything in your life, whatever you are having, whatever you are carrying with you, is all given by one or other person in your life. So you should always try to analyze and try to evaluate that your life, what is the balance sheet of your life, whatever you have acquired, from where you have received it. And you should always be thankful to the source. Suppose this life, this body you have received from your parents, from the nature, Mother Nature has given you. So all these, so you have, if you just link these, this balance sheet process with your life, or if you just start preparing the balance sheet of your life, then you will I think you will be mesmerized, because I always feel very mesmerized about this particular aspect. Now we will go quick to the balance sheet analysis. And I will love if you analyze your this part and just share it with me, that how it helped you to analyze. So it will be really nice, I think. There are certain ratios which we have to calculate. If we calculate those ratios, because you see, balance sheet as such, numbers have do not tell you anything. And especially for a person who doesn't know much about the accounts, for them it's a very what all is written and why it is written. It will not carry any meaning. So just to understand its meaning, we have to do some analysis. So for that purpose, we need to go about the balance sheet analysis. First ratio which we see is the debt to net worth. Means how much is the outside debt in the business and how much is the net worth of the business. This shows about the solvency. Like if you go to the bank, they will always ask about the debt equity ratio. Why so? Because if debt equity ratio is higher, means you yourself have invested more money than the outsiders. This shows the solvency of the business and the trust of owner in the business. So if I don't trust my business, I won't put my money, but I will encourage others to put in more money there. So my debt equity ratio will tell about this thing. So it should always be good. It should always be its normative range. If we talk about, it should be 1.5. Means your own capital should always be 1.5 times of the debt. It shows the solvency of the business. Then comes current ratio. Current ratio is nothing but the ratio of current assets to current liabilities. Means how much is the how much money or how much liquidity is there in the business. That this ratio indicates that. So it should be, its normative ranges, ideally it should be 1.33. These two indicators are very crucial from the banker's viewpoint. If you go to any bank, he will first of all check these two parameters. If he is okay with these two parameters, then only he will tell you to go ahead with the loan process. Then comes liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is liquid assets divided by current liabilities. Now, what are liquid assets? Current assets are inventory, receivables, cash, and other loans and advances. So out of these 4 assets, if I take out the inventory, the rest are the liquid assets. Liquid assets means the assets which can be immediately converted into cash are called liquid assets. So this indicates the quick liquidity of the business. It should be 1 and above. But in very poor cases, it can be accepted up to 0.9 or so, but usually banks don't accept below 1. Then comes EPS, earning per share. Earning per share is the indicator of your earning capacity. What is the earning capacity of the business? Here, I'll just take 1 minute more. It indicates the earning capacity of the, there is last line which is not visible here. That is what I'm saying. Like profit net profit after tax is 24.5. Yes, now it is correct. So profit in this case is 24.5 lakhs and 26 lakhs. So it gives me the earning capacity. Like if I have invested 20 rupees in the one share,
you're frozen again.
A share will get me 2 rupees 45 paisa. And then, if I would have invested this money in the in place of business, if I would have invested it somewhere else, how much return I should have get? That is the ideal measurement for this particular like parameter. It should usually match with the lending rate of the bank. So in this case, we are just seeing in 1 minute, I'll tell you that here, if you see the earning capacity and return on capital is decreasing, means the capacity, earning capacity of the business has declined. At the same time, its liquidity has improved. It has gone up from 2.1 to 2.6 and 0.8 to 1.26. So if you analyze these 2 years as balance sheet, I think once we put it on YouTube, it will help you to analyze in a better way. So this is how we can evaluate our 2 years of operations. So you can take any balance sheet and you can start reading these 5 ratios. You will get to know many things about the business. So this is all from my side. Thank you. Over to Arvind.
Yeah, so we got last quarter to 2 minutes. If that time is not sufficient, I encourage our friends to write in the chat box, not in this chat box, in the WhatsApp group actually, so that our trainer can answer your questions there.
Is it okay, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have heard that yesterday I was learning something, and in that I have heard that companies prepare 2 balance sheets, one for tax system and one for showing the corporates. Or
you please ask this question in the chat, in the WhatsApp group. I will reply this. This is a good question. Very good question.
okay.
Sure. So I'm going to stop this session now, and you please respond back in the WhatsApp group.
Be little responsive in the WhatsApp groups. That will make you understand others also. If you learn more things, so please be interactive.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, see you next week then.
Yeah.
Take care. Have a nice time.
Thank you. Thank you, Arvind.